The Vice President Kashim Shettima has said that it is wrong to insinuate that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has neglected the northern region. He said that the northern region has no business with poverty, as Almighty God has blessed the region with everything. Now, he spoke in an interview with correspondents in Kaduna on Sunday, and commenting on the protest, he said in his understanding, okay, so let me quote him now. In my understanding, we are a democracy, and democracy has given a citizen the right to voice his grievances, but in a peaceful manner. What we are running away from is politicians with bad intention and hoodlums to cause commotion that would lead to anarchy. That's what we've been running from, and unfortunately, it happened. But the president is a complete politician who will never deny any citizen his right. But what happened was quite unfortunate and disturbing to the society and to the government, how things turned out. Now, on the problems in the north and whether the government has anything in store for the region, the vice president has said, really, the government has good intentions to help the people in the north. And we have a foundation that will assist in the field of agriculture, and 100 billion was put aside for that purpose. We intend to assist 500 million farmers. You and I know that majority of the farmers are in the north. Furthermore, it's due to the love for our people that the president established the Ministry of Livestock. And we all know that majority of the livestock headers are in the north. Also, from the government's food reserves, we brought out about 42,000 tons of food because of the high cost of living and high cost of foodstuff. We want to bring an end to our people's suffering. For government workers, you know there's an increase in minimum wage and all of the things that Kashim Shettima actually mentioned in that speech, where he was trying to tell the people of the north that the president is interested in them. And he said that the president had good intentions and has been commending them. Now, whatever step that should be taken, that will be done to help them, has been taken. We know they are in hardship. We commiserate with them. Or whether they were aware how the people were suffering since the oil subsidy was removed, well, he has stated that the people are the friends and neighbors, and of course, they are aware. Probably that's why those steps that were taken were being taken. All right. He also talked about the administration being more concerned. Some people saying that the administration is more concerned about the south than the north. Well, the vice president has said that in his understanding, it was politicians who were making that statement. To think that the people in the south are thinking that some people in the south, not everybody anyway. We've heard statements of people saying, oh, more attention is being placed in the north than in the south. And now to hear that some other people are saying more attention is being placed in the south than in the north, it begs a lot of questions in my mind. But let's get your thoughts on this story, Ambassador.
Well, I want to thank the Vice President for coming out to inform, especially our brothers and sisters from the northern Nigeria, on the plans, the intentions, and what so far Mr. President has done for the northern Nigerians. Saying that poverty ought not to be part of the North Nigeria. Of course, relatively, majority of the foods that we consume in Nigeria, in the southern Nigeria, is being gotten from the northern extraction. And for the president to approve about 100 billion naira for a foundation targeted to boost farming in the northern Nigeria is well intended for, increasing food security in Nigeria, and then to boost agriculture. If you have traveled to the north, you will understand that an average northerner loves farming. But the only challenge is the issue of insecurity. There is no kind of fruits you will not get in the northern Nigeria. Relatively, the rice, beans, yam, potato,
tomatoes, onions,
pepper, you know, from the northern Nigeria. So, and people who are producers of food certainly can't be poor. And they don't even produce just for consumption. They also produce for business purposes. You know, so I really commend the northern Nigeria. But what has really happened in the northern Nigeria is the issue of insecurity. It was when insecurity stepped in, it looks as if the northerners are crying and complaining. And again, we have a set of people who are relatively contented with the little that they have. If you have traveled to the north, you will discover that the kind of flamboyant lifestyle we live here, the kind of, you know, royalty. We have so many kings, if I will use that word. When I mean kings, even self-made kings by your lifestyle, much more than they have in the northern Nigeria. So it's quite interesting to know that Mr. President has a very good intention for the northern Nigeria in terms of appointment. The vice president is the coordinating, is in charge of the economy of the country, and the secretary to the federation, that's the SGF now, the secretary to the government of the federation, Boss Mustafa, is also a northerner. Okay. And most of the government parastatals are under his supervision. That has to do with, you know, the economy, development, and what have you. So now, the vice president, in my little understanding about him, is a man that loves the northern Nigeria. He's very, very intentional about the welfare of the northern Nigeria. And my appeal is for the northern leaders, the elites, to rally around him and ensure that the good things that they can achieve from this government of His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu will really, really trickle down to the northern Nigeria.
All right, let's get your thought, Dandy.
Okay, first, what does it mean by North shouldn't have business with poverty? And I really don't find, if you're saying North, as a vice president, you're saying the North shouldn't have business with poverty, I agree. Then you should also tell us that the South shouldn't have business with poverty. Just tell us Nigerians shouldn't have business with poverty. And then coming out to say North shouldn't have business with poverty. And then pointing out the things he just listed as what they've done. I don't understand. What have you done to say you're ending poverty in the northern region? To say the North shouldn't have... You know, it's like trying to align this statement with what the Senate President stated here when he said those in the NDDC region they should be eating while people protest. And when you hear such statement, you think everybody in that region is just well-to-do. So when you hear the North shouldn't have business with poverty, we've given them, you think everybody have gotten it. So for that reason, everybody is so rich and all that. These are political statements as far as I'm concerned. So
with everything that he listed that the federal government has done for that region, you still don't see any justification in his statement?
One of what he listed is that they've even increased minimum wage.
Yes.
Have anybody received the minimum wage? So why are you telling us North shouldn't even talk about poverty? Okay. Have anybody even received the minimum wage?
What about the monies that were allocated for?
He said allocated. He didn't say they've done anything with it. He said they are allocated. And 1 year you're telling us you are allocated. And because you are allocated, has it gotten to everybody? What's the criteria? Why did he not point out the criteria for distribution of this money? And then he also said they brought rice and all that distributed. We all saw on social media how that ended. People were struggling for it. The people that should not have business with poverty. As we see, you know, some of these statements, the government should pay more attention on developing the people. I'm not telling us all is well. And maybe probably that's what they tell them at the Aso that all is well. They don't come out to the streets. Of course, they have security. While they're riding on the road, they clear the road for them and all that. They eat 3 square meals. So they think life is like that.
But they're Nigerians. Do you think there are certain Nigerians who don't know what's like going on in the society? I mean, you converse with people, you have workers, you have people working for you, even if you're up there.
That's what I'm saying. What did they tell? What these workers, do they tell them the truth, or you just go there praise them so that you get your own? That's the challenge. You don't tell me no, shouldn't have business with poverty. I agree first. Now let's say Nigerians shouldn't have business with poverty. What have you put in place? What have you done for Nigerians that should qualify that statement? That we shouldn't have. Good, we agree. He said there are lots in the northern region. There are natural resources in every state. How much more is the federal government doing to harness these natural resources? What have they done? I've been in the north. I stayed in the north for 1 year. I can tell you people are suffering. They shouldn't have business with poverty. I agree, Vice President. Please, try to make it in such a way that people shouldn't have business with poverty. Go and utilize the natural resources in each of the states. Create employment in the northern region. Those persons, okay, you mentioned that the northern region are part of, there is so much famine in that area. Have you provided storage facilities? How much more can they store? These people improvise this thing for themselves.
Are you just trying to say that the federal government has not done, maybe, should I say anything now or enough for the
They've not done enough for northern Nigeria. They've not done enough for southern Nigeria, eastern, and every region. That is the essence of the NPAT governance now. We all seen this.
Is there any basis for anyone saying that the federal government is probably paying more attention to the south than the north?
I don't even see them paying more attention to any region. In this case, if you say so, what have they done more in the south and that they have not also done in the north? What have they done in the north that they've not done in the south? It's like coming out to say because those in the southern region or the Niger Delta area, they have oil. So for that reason, everybody is benefiting from the oil. So because there are everybody in the northern region are farmers, or majority of the persons in the northern region are farmers. So for that reason, everybody have food to eat. That's an error to say. As far as I'm concerned, that's an error to say. It may whether we like it or not. Why is it that those from the northern region are coming into this angle? Why are they coming here to do business?
Especially with their cattle.
Good, and you see, you obviously you see the people. So it's not a good thing to say everybody is rich in the northern region. He said they shouldn't have business. I also agree with the Vice President that please let the government make it in such a way that both the northern and southern shouldn't have business with poverty.
Ambassador, it looks like you're itching to add to that.
I think looking at the statement of the Vice President relatively, he said shouldn't. He's not saying that there is no poverty in the northern Nigeria. But that's why when I was speaking here, I said, if not for the issue of insecurity, an average northerner is a very contented person. I travel regularly to the northern part of Nigeria.
That's an average northerner. But you agree that even reports have it that we have so much poverty in some northern states.
That's what we're saying.
When we talk about the out-of-school children, we're looking at the north. That's the highest number
that's what we are saying. Part of what affects the northern Nigeria, religion is a big problem there, where our conventional educational system is not really celebrated or appreciated by some families. Now, education, is not too very much encouraged in some part of the northern Nigeria. And then, like I said, religion has a way that is affecting their attitude and their actions. But to generalize it, an average northerner is a farmer. And that's why most times when you see government talking about agriculture, they focus intentionally on the northern Nigeria. Of course, like I said, they are like the agriculture, the food providers in Nigeria. Without the northern Nigeria, we will not really have major foods available for us, even in the southern Nigeria. So that's why any reasonable government who neglect the northern Nigeria in the area of agriculture is saying that there should be food shortage. He's saying that there should be a lack of food like we're having right now. And what is the cause of this lack of food now in Nigeria and in the northern Nigeria? Insecurity. And that's why maybe as we progress as part of the discussion on what government have done to end that. So I think that the Vice President is not saying there is no poverty in the north. We all agree there's a high rate of poverty in the north. Most of their leaders have really exploited them, because if you look at historically, the northern Nigeria have raised so much leaders. They have so much well-to-do people. I can tell you that. If you want to talk about those who have money in this country, it's not southern Nigerian people, apart from those who are businessmen. But the north has men that have good resources, but the challenge is the mindset of the people. So I want to encourage that if religion will open up the mindset of the young northerners, like some have embraced civilization now, some have embraced education, and the issue of Boko Haram, which has infiltrated, to so many strata of the society in the northern Nigeria, that has to do with being against westernization. That's the Boko Haram. Anything that has to do with westernization should not be, received, must be resisted. So these are...
I don't think Dandy is saying that the Vice President has said that there's no poverty in the northern Nigeria. It's still around his statement of should not have, any business with poverty.
Exactly.
But let's look at Dandy, from your statements and, calling on federal government to do more, especially in that region. Around Nigeria now, you're not particular about any region. But let's look at the Ministry of Livestock. Do you also see that as a step by the federal government, to put an end or to help improve agriculture, especially in that region? Because the Vice President has stated that it is in that region that we have more herders or people involved with livestock, and it is because of them that the federal government has announced that Ministry of Livestock.
Okay, ordinarily, the federal government or anyone in government should be sincere in carrying out the business of governance. Ordinarily. So, that step is a good step.
It's a good step.
It's a good step. So, it's like what we have in this region, where is it under the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Okay.
And then they came up with the issue of NDDC. So, how far... Let's take that. That's in our region. How far have that agency changed, or that commission? How far have it changed the life of the people?
You think the Ministry of Livestock can be compared or can be?
Of course, when you're coming
to the NDDC?
When you're coming up with that, it's for that particular region. For instance, then if you say it's a ministry, it means except you want to
it's for the whole of Nigeria.
Yeah, except
Ministry of Livestock.
Good. I'm using an NDDC. I'm using that as a yardstick for this region. Now you asked me. You said, don't you think that will also help that region?
Yes.
Good. So that's why I said for those who are in governance or who are in government, should please be sincere. Something has been created. Sincerely created. The implementation is the issue. The achievement, the developmental stride from that ministry should be the issue. They also created the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. In fact, the idea was to feed school children. The idea was also take people out of the streets and gainfully employ them, no matter how little. How much more have we been able to achieve? Instead, all we had was corruption in that area. That's why I said, if you are given a responsibility to govern the people, to bring development, be sincere. The Ministry of Livestock has been created. Let it not be like other ministries. We have so many of them, about 36 of them even. How much more impact are we getting? We have Ministry of Transportation, so let's not make it like the Ministry of Livestock. We now bring all the development we want. How much more roads have been created? We have Ministry of Health. How good can we say is our health sector? We also have different ministries, different to mention. How much more, how much benefit are we getting? So when you're bringing new ministry, let it not go down like the other ministries.
If we have other ministries and you have agreed with some other Nigerians who believe that these ministries have not been so productive, so why are we creating another ministry that when we already have Ministry of Agriculture and we have a department that is on livestock? And we even hear from reports that that department has a lot of attention from the government. So why then pick that already exists and then create it as a ministry where reports have it that the other ministries are not as productive as they should be?
Every ministry, from my own viewpoint of view, every ministry is created for a target to achieve a particular goal. In fact, for a good reason, if you ask me. But the implementation, the output has always been the problem. When they created the Ministry of Road and Transportation and all that, the issue was to tackle that angle. So if you're creating the Ministry of Livestock out of agriculture, it means they want to focus on livestock production.
Why would we want to focus on livestock production when agriculture is so broad?
No, because
the vice president now has stated that it's because of a certain, section of the country that we have created a whole ministry for the full country.
Yeah, the government may have they have a mind to develop. If you're talking about livestock, we all deal on food and all that, and we have to do with the protein. And so probably the federal government may be targeting to make that more available. Don't
you think that is another way of increasing the cost of governance, having in mind that we already have the Ministry of Agriculture?
You see, like my brother talked about, creating ministry for a purpose. Now, the issue of livestock, particularly the herders, has been a big challenge on our national life and insecurity. And then there is a call, an intentional call for us to have an attention given to that area of our national life. Now, coming up with the Ministry of Livestock, for me, I don't have issues with it. Because why? We have advocated here before that the livestock industry, if we use that word, has not really added to our national internal generated revenue, which we can. There are nations of the world that are generating revenue through livestock. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's only for the Ministry of that livestock to see how they can create avenues for wealth for the nation, avenues for peace for the nation, avenues for job creation for the nation. So I think if that ministry is properly harnessed, one is going to create more job because there will be intentional, more civilized way of doing livestock. Government will equally see how they can encourage and boost that area of our national life. So, for instance, if each cow owner is now known, and this issue of maybe having a ranch or whatsoever to end this issue of herders and farmers crisis, I think that ministry will have that responsibility of saying, okay, if you are a cow owner, we want you to come and register. We want you to have, we want to have information about those who are managing your cows. We want to know the movement of your cows. So by this doing, our security system in terms of the crisis of herders and farmers may reduce. So I think that the ministry has a very great responsibility to increase job creation. Number two, to help us in the crisis between the herders and farmers. Number three, to see how we can also create revenue
for Nigeria.
For Nigerians.
Let's look at the next story now.